Hey guys, welcome to another new episode of Cult Movie Tuesdays, right here on Night Owl Video. Thank you for joining me again. And today we're talking about the 1978 film Eyes of Laura Mars. I have to hold it sideways so I don't get a glare on it, but I don't know if this is considered a cult movie. I think it probably is by this point. I don't think many people are talking about it. It seems like it's sort of like it gets mentioned sometimes, but I feel like it's not like real mainstreamy. So anyway, I do my own thing, okay? I do my own thing when it comes to the Cult Movie Tuesdays, and like sometimes maybe some of the movies I pick, people will say, well, that's not really a cult movie. I don't know what people's definition of a cult movie is, but I'm calling this one a cult movie, okay? Take it or leave it. Thank you for watching in advance. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I have broke the 60 subscriber mark and now at 61 followers. So welcome to all the new people who have subscribed to my channel. Thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate that. And I hope you like the content. And so yeah, that's super cool. You can follow me over on Instagram at Night Owl Video as well if you feel so inclined. I do post on there like when I have a new video up. So that's what that's kind of used for. But Eyes of Laura Mars is a 1978 mystery thriller directed by Irvin Kershner. Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, Irvin Kershner is a household name because he is the director of arguably, or not even arguably, he was the director of the best Star Wars film, The Empire Strikes Back from 1980, only 2 years after this film came out. The script for this film was written by the one and only John Carpenter. Yes, that John Carpenter of Halloween and Escape from New York fame. And so this is an early outing for him in a screenwriting capacity. The film stars Faye Dunaway, who I forgot to look up if I think she's still kicking. She was in Bonnie and Clyde, Chinatown, and Mommy Dearest. And you know what? I saw Bonnie and Clyde, but I don't think I saw Chinatown or Mommy Dearest. I did see a used copy of Mommy Dearest once, and I passed on it, and I've regretted it ever since because I've never seen that movie. I've heard really wild things about it, and I did see this really nice 2-disc collector's set of that on DVD, and for whatever reason, I passed on it. I must not have had much money that week or something, but hopefully I'll get around to that one eventually. This also stars a very young Tommy Lee Jones, who you may remember from the big screen remake of the TV series The Fugitive, which this remake I'm talking about came out in 1993 and starred the incomparable Harrison Ford. Tommy Lee Jones was also in Batman Forever. That's right, he was Two-Face. And probably most recognizable, I would say, for most people, Tommy Lee Jones was Will Smith's partner in the Men in Black movie series. I'm sure he was in tons of other stuff. I just don't, off the top of my head, can't think. I always think The Fugitive, because that's one of my favorite 90s movies. He's good, and he's really good in this movie. This movie also stars Renee Auberjonois. Butchered that a bit. He was in the 1976 remake of King Kong. He was also in the hit sitcom Benson from the 1970s and early 80s, I think. Or maybe it was early 80s, Benson. I don't know. I didn't really watch that show. I remember it being on when I was a kid. And he's probably most famously known and remembered for his series, or to be in the series Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He was that guy that was like very smooth looking and very thin, very gaunt looking gentleman. He did pass away, I think, in 2013, I'm going to say, so rest in peace, Renee Auberjonois. Jonas. I don't know how to say his last name, but anyway, he was a cool cat. He was cool in this movie. This movie takes place in the kind of like 70s fashion district, New York, and he is sort of like this very flamboyant kind of like fashion guy. He's got real puffy hair, and he's great in this film. I thought he was really excellent. This movie also stars Brad Dourif. Yeah, Brad Dourif from Exorcist 3. I mean, I remember from Exorcist 3. He's also the voice of Chucky in the Child's Play movies. If you didn't already see it, I did a review of Exorcist 3 several months ago right here on the channel, if you felt so inclined to go back and revisit it. But Brad Dourif is really good in this as well. He's like, he plays kind of like Faye Dunaway's like driver and like kind of like a helper guy behind the scenes. So, but he's kind of a bit of a dirtbag, kind of. I think he spent some time in prison, from what I remember in the story. But he's really good in this movie. I really liked his acting. Everybody did a great job as far as acting in this film. So the synopsis, and for those of you who are new to my channel, I just copy and paste the synopsis from Google because I'm not really good at condensing movies into small paragraphs. So I just copy and paste. You'll probably laugh because I don't think in this case, but in some cases I do copy and paste. I don't read it, and then when I start the video, I'm like, wait, this is not accurate. So, but this one I think is pretty good. So Laura Mars, played by Faye Dunaway, is a renowned New York City fashion photographer who features sensual and violent images in her controversial work. Suddenly, Laura gains the ability to see visions from a serial killer's perspective, and it happens to be her friends and associates that he is stalking. Aided by police investigator John Neville, played by Tommy Lee Jones, Laura tries to prevent the murderer from finding more victims, but she has no idea who the psychopath could be. Wow. Yeah, this is a murder mystery. Like a kind of like the quintessential, like I haven't seen a lot of these types of movies, but I feel like this is a pretty classic one. So apparently John Carpenter, the script that John Carpenter presented, which was, you know, originally approved to be made into a feature film by Columbia Pictures. Apparently his script is very different from the final script and the final product. So, and that was a stipulation of Columbia Pictures. So originally Barbra Streisand was going to be in the lead role in this film because I think she was dating or married to somebody who was like a producer on this movie or something. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but she backed out at the last minute. They brought in Faye Dunaway, and then Columbia Pictures is like, okay, well, if you're doing that, then we're making amendments to the contract that says we can, you know, rework the script or whatever. So they said, we're going to do rewrites on the script if you're bringing Faye Dunaway and not using Barbra Streisand. So apparently John Carpenter was not impressed with this move, and he has been quoted as saying that the original script was very good. Now, if you're so inclined, I did a quick Google search, and I do believe you can see the original script online on various websites. So if you're so inclined, you can go and do a cross comparison. If you're that nerdy, I would probably do that if I had more time, but I have a lot of things on the go. So, and trying to keep up with this channel while working full time now I've discovered has become challenging, which is why I've had a lack of videos lately, and I do apologize for that. Hopefully I'll be able to remedy that as I get more into a routine. So this filming was completed in 56 days from October of 1977 to January of 1978 in various locations in New York. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I did recently listen to a podcast called Video Archives, which is hosted by Quentin Tarantino, his friend Roger Avery, and on a special guest episode, they had Eli Roth, the director of Hostel and Cabin Fever, and they were doing a two-part series on that podcast about American giallo films. And this one was one of the films, along with Dress to Kill and a couple others. I don't think I'm a giallo person now, and I'm not even so much of an expert that I could even really describe what a giallo is. It's an Italian horror movie thriller from I guess from a lot of different eras, but I feel like it's a 70s, 80s maybe kind of thing. I'm definitely not an expert in this field. I think I've only seen 3 giallo films. One of them being The Black Belly of the Tarantula. I also saw Suspiria, and I also saw House by the Cemetery, which I think are all considered giallos. Yeah, I thought this one said something on it even. Oh yeah, it says right there, the best giallo ever made. If this is the best giallo ever made, I'm definitely not a giallo person, okay? So I'm just going to throw that out there. But anyway, Tarantino, Avery, and Eli Roth consider this an American giallo. So dark in tone, a lot of sort of like nudity, black leather gloves, close-ups on weapons, knives, etc., etc. Kind of cool atmospheric music. Usually a thriller more than a horror, but it can include a lot of like extreme gore and stuff. But yeah, again, I don't think I'm a giallo person unless you can recommend me one that I haven't seen, which would maybe change my mind. So feel free to comment below what, if you're a giallo person, what I should watch that might change my mind. But for now, I'm going to say, I don't know. I did really like this movie though. All that said, so I didn't really. I watched this movie before. I think I heard the podcast referring to it as an American giallo. So I was just watching this as a straight up, American thriller, 70s thriller. So I didn't come at it from that angle, but now that I've watched it and I've heard that kind of exposition from Tarantino and Avery and Roth, now I kind of like, I can see, I guess, yeah, there's definitely some nods in here to classic Italian giallo. But anyway, that could be a whole other episode, I feel like. But this one definitely has the 70s made-for-TV movie feel. And I don't know if that's just the opening credits and the way they were sort of splashed across the screen. And Barbra Streisand sings the theme song. And it's got that real, almost like a James Bond kind of a feel, like that kind of like cinematic kind of theme song. But it did kind of make me think of that, and I had a lot of flashes like fashion shoots and city like skylines and things like that, and harbor shots of New York, and it kind of gave me that vibe, like that made for TV feel. Which another one I just watched recently, which I'd like to review soon, is Someone's Watching Me, which actually is a made for TV movie. And if I put these side by side, like this one was, Eyes of Laura Mars was a theatrical release as far as I know, but it definitely had that feel for me. I don't know, maybe that's just me. The film got mixed reviews from critics. It currently holds a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people praise the acting, but criticize the weak ending, which I have to agree with them on that. The thrill ride of Eyes of Laura Mars builds up through the whole film, and then the ending, a little disappointing. Not terrible, but a little disappointing. So George Lucas apparently saw this film and hired Irvin Kershner to direct The Empire Strikes Back based on his direction in this film. So it left some kind of impression on George Lucas, and he hired Irvin Kershner, and then Irvin Kershner upstaged everybody by basically making the greatest, probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, science fiction film of the 80s, and definitely the high watermark for the Star Wars trilogy. If you're a Star Wars nerd, I am a Star Wars nerd for the original trilogy, but maybe I'm a little biased. Just gonna throw that out there. But anyway, this movie does have mixed reviews, and I can kind of see that now that I've seen the film. I will say it's a very good thriller, but we'll get to that in a sec. So I would give this probably a 3.5 out of 5 or a 3.25 out of 5. It's a solid little thriller. It's got some cool shots in it. Some of the cinematography is really good. The pacing, like I said, is very good. It keeps you going all the way through. The ending a little weak for me, but I don't think I'm alone in that camp. The acting was superb. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones was actually really good in this film. I really liked his acting in this film. So, and again, that Rene Auberjonois guy, he was really good at it too. I really liked watching him in this film. So, it's it's a murder mystery. I feel like I don't watch a lot of those kinds of movies because I get confused really easily if the plot is really convoluted. So I don't watch a lot of those, but this is one that's been on my radar for like 30 years, and I finally found a copy, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just watch this. I found this copy for $3 at my local thrift store, so I figured why not. So this edition is a DVD from the year 2000. Remember way back in the year 2000 when it was all futuristic? This is rated R. It's 103 minutes, a little over my preferred time of 90 minutes, but I'll let it go for in this case. This was a pretty nice edition, this DVD that came out in 2000. The special features are a director's commentary, which I have not listened to yet, which I'd be curious to. Original making of featurette, Eyes of Laura Mars photo gallery. It's got production notes, talent files, trailers, the whole deal. So this is a flipper disc, as you can see, full screen on one side, widescreen on the other. It does come with this little booklet, which is kind of cool. I love the design on this cover. It's very 70s actually. There's a picture of a young Tommy Lee Jones at the top holding Faye Dunaway. Yeah, he was really good in this movie. Then it's got a little bit of it's got a little bit about the movie inside, and then you got your chapters list on the back. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so this is an ex Blockbuster video rental. Hey, there's my Eraserhead poster in the background. This is an ex Blockbuster video rental. It's really dinged up, but it did play without skipping, so I was happy about that. I only paid $3 for it, so figured I'd gamble on it because I really have been wanting to see it. And now that I've heard that podcast about it that I mentioned earlier, Video Archives, it's kind of got me wanting to revisit it or maybe watch the director's commentary just to get some more understanding of the film. But yeah, it was really good. So like I said, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Solid little if you like thrillers, if you like murder mysteries, if you like Faye Dunaway and Tommy Lee Jones, if you like Irvin Kershner's directing style, I think you'll enjoy this movie. Like I said, for me, the pluses were the pacing, the acting, and the overall mood. I also really love cinema from the 70s, and I love seeing city shots in films from the 70s. Seeing skylines, seeing activity on the street, people crossing the street, fashion, everything about that era as I get older becomes more and more fascinating to me. And I have to say this one didn't let me down from that aspect. Growing up in Montreal as a little kid in the 70s, I think it might be a bit of a nostalgia thing, but driving in a car and seeing, not skyscrapers, but like, big buildings and just people everywhere and the excitement, the energy of a big city. So I really like that. And that's a deep dive into my own existence. But anyway, I would give Eyes of Laura Mars a thumbs up. If you like this video, you can give me a thumbs up. You can also subscribe if you haven't already. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I did finally break the 60 mark, as I think I mentioned. I'm up to 61 followers now. So I guess my next big thing will be maybe 100 followers, but we'll see. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I will see you at the video store or at the thrift store or out and about. Take care of each other, especially in this crazy holiday season. And I will be back soon with more reviews. Thank you. Okay, bye. No, really bye.